No responsibilities, live and in studio. Hey, Connor.
Exactly.
Hello.
We're back. It's our first podcast in a long time.
Yeah.
We're back. We're going to be doing the podcast again. We have a lot of ideas, so welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a while. We only filmed 3 episodes before we started focusing more on reviews and top 10s and other music-related stuff, but we're going to be sprinkling these podcasts in with our other posts for the next while. What are we talking about today? Today we're talking about the Foo Fighters. Me and Connor recently had the pleasure of seeing them live. It was actually their last show of the Concrete and Gold tour, and I really enjoyed it, but we can talk about that more in a bit.
Yeah, so I want to just go through their records. I want to talk about the band members, talk about their live performances, future of the band, all sorts of things. Let's just dive deep in the Foo Fighters world.
Yeah. So,
Let's start with this.
okay.
How were you introduced to the Foo Fighters?
Okay. This is funny. I was actually introduced to I always kind of had heard their name around, and I remember I must have been maybe 11 or 12 years old, and I was watching one of their live performances. I couldn't tell you which one. All I know is that they were outdoors, and they were getting announced by the person who was welcoming them on stage. And when they said their name, I thought they were a country band. She said the Foo Fighters, and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's the Foo Fighters." Because I had no idea who they were, because I was 11. I knew obviously Nirvana, but I didn't know who Dave Grohl was. I didn't know that he had a band. So originally, I thought they were a country band. Little stupid me. And then I saw them play, and I was like, "Oh, shit! It's a rock. I really like them." And ever since then, it took me a while to really start listening to them because I just was distracted with other stuff. But that was probably my first encounter with them. What about you?
I always knew about them, knew about the couple of singles on the radio. I wasn't sure I even knew who they were, but I'd heard songs like Learn to Fly and, Monkey Wrench and stuff like that on rock radio. But I only really got into them after I got into Nirvana. I wanted to figure out more about this Dave guy. So I looked up his band, and I don't know, I predetermined I didn't like them at first. I don't know why. I just decided I didn't like the Foo Fighters. But then I looked them up and I listened to the not radio singles, songs like Everlong, and that was obviously their biggest hit. But I went in deeper, listened to the stuff that I hadn't heard, and went from there. And now I know everything about them, down to literally everything. I've read books about them. I've seen every documentary Dave has ever done. Oh man, I know. I could write a biography about them. I know so much.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to show off. It's just how it is. Not that it's anything cool.
We may as well mention all the members of the band on that note then. So obviously Dave Grohl, who is the previous drummer from Nirvana and also the previous drummer from Queens of the Stone Age. We got Nate Mendel. How do you say his last name? Mendel.
Who was in the band Sunny Day Real Estate.
Yes.
Emo band.
Yeah.
Who I really like as well.
Pat Smear.
From the Germs.
Yeah.
Classic punk band, and then was in Nirvana at the end.
Really, really influential drummer, Taylor Hawkins.
Love Taylor.
Yeah. He's
funniest guy ever.
Yeah. I hadn't, I had obviously seen a lot of videos with him, but I feel you really have to see him live to get how funny the guy is. He's really just, he's a personality,
I mean, him and Dave together are the best duo. I would if Dave and Taylor would do a podcast, I would listen to that 10 times a day.
Yeah. Hey, super good idea. Come on, Dave Taylor, do a podcast. You make tons of money.
They've actually done a few radio podcasts of them being interviewed, but it was kind of like a podcast. Really entertaining.
Really?
Anyway.
We got Chris Shiflett. No, Chris Shiflett.
Who he plays in the band Me First and the Gimme Gimmes with No Effects singer Fat Mike. But I don't know what he did before Foo Fighters.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's a country side project, and recently played one of our local Calgary venues, the Palomino, the night after the Foo Fighters show.
Oh yeah,
which I almost went to, but I was too tired.
And finally, Rami Jaffe,
who's the keyboardist.
Yeah,
who's been playing with them for about, I think, I think since the Echo Silence, Patience and Grace era, maybe a little bit before. But he was only considered an official member until last year.
Yeah.
So now the Foo Fighters are a huge band of 7 members.
Yeah. But I think it really works with their style because I've always felt like, I don't know, they're not a lot of other rock bands have a very like consistent, like just you know what you're getting, like just 3 or 4 members, like each member does their job and you can kind of just expect each album they release what it's going to be like. But the Foo Fighters, to me, it just like feels like almost like a compilation. Like they have all these different artists making up the band that are really, really good in their own respective fields. Like they're really experts in what they do, and when they all come together, it's like just like watching watching videos of them make music. It looks like you're just looking at a room full of like 7 people that all are really, really, really good at what they do, and they're just kind of all like combining their really brilliant musical minds to make like just really good stuff.
Yeah, and the fact they have 3 guitar players creates a really thick live sound.
Yeah.
Originally, they just had 2 guitar players, but what happened was it was just Dave and Pat. Pat quit the band. They replaced him with another guy. Yeah. They quit and they kicked that guy out. So it was just Dave and Chris playing guitar, and then Pat wanted back in the band, but he'd already been replaced. So basically, they just said, okay, fine, we're going to have 3 guitar players now.
Yeah.
So that is just good. And the other interesting thing is it's very weird having a band where your lead guitarist is a better drummer than the drummer of the band. Not saying that Taylor is an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's a weird dynamic.
Is he better, though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? I mean, I would say, like, Dave Grohl is a really amazing drummer, but I think what makes him an amazing drummer is his style and not necessarily his, like, skill. Like, he's very skilled, obviously.
Not technically. He plays completely wrong.
Well, I meant, like,
definition.
he's skilled in the sense of, like, rhythm and being able to compose good drum parts.
Yep.
But what I mean is, like, his skill, like, if you talk to, like, the most technical drummer, they wouldn't say Dave Grohl is a very technical drummer. What made him so popular is his style. He was very, like, very powerful. It was just, like, so raw. Like, his drumming was so raw. And so I don't know if Dave Grohl has better technique than Taylor. Like, Taylor might be, like, a better technical drummer, but Dave Grohl definitely has, like, more style, I'd say, than Taylor. Like, a more distinct style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just go through their albums and talk about each record a little bit.
Yeah.
So first album, Foo Fighters, self-titled. Dave played every instrument on this record, aside from Chris from Nirvana playing bass on Big Me.
Yeah.
As well as someone else played guitar on one of the other tracks. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's all Dave. Doesn't really count as a Foo Fighters record.
Wait, he literally tracked all of the instruments?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Well, because originally that record wasn't meant to be a band. It was basically just Dave's solo record he put out under a, what would you call it? An alias name.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then that, he just handed out that tape to a couple hundred people with no intention of becoming a big band. And I guess that just, you got a record deal or whatever and then put a band together.
Right. Obviously, some really good songs off that. They didn't play any of them live, which was really shocking in their Concrete and Gold tour. I don't know if every city got the same set list, but they played nothing from the first album. Which, now that you're talking about it, it might be because it was only Dave Grohl making all those
they
songs.
played stuff off that record up until
okay.
the last tour. I mean, they still do play. The thing is, it's their least popular record I think. So, and the Foo Fighters want to just play the hits live, which is a criticism, actually. They just want to play what the audience knows, and most people don't know the songs off that record. So I think that's why they didn't play much or anything off of it for our show.
To be fair, though, they do have such a huge, like, amount of songs, like a lot of albums, and there's so many hits. Like, I would get if they played not so well-known songs if they had a lot of albums but not so many hits, but they have a lot of albums and a lot of hits. Like, every album they put out, they have, like, 2 or 3 really popular singles. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that they just play the hits because they just have such a big pool to choose from, and you know that you can fill out a whole 2-hour show, and everyone's going to know all those songs.
It does make sense, and it's good for regular fans who would be most familiar with the hits, but for hardcore fans like us, it would have been cool to see some deeper cuts. But it does make sense, and I get why they do it.
Yeah.
I don't think they played a single non-hit song from what I can remember. They played Breakout off of the third record that wasn't a massive hit, but other than that, basically just 1 or 2 singles off of each record.
Yeah.
Other than the first. Anyway, first album though, my favorite album of theirs.
Yeah,
It's
I
heavy.
really love this album.
It's messy. It's grungy. It's like it's an evolution of the Nirvana sound. Dave hadn't really totally found the Foo Fighter feel that you get in the later records. It was very much Nirvana-y.
Yeah.
Which would make sense because half the songs on that record were actually written during the Nirvana period.
Oh, good thing to point out. Certain tracks that stick out to me would be like Weenie Beanie.
Heavy, crazy song.
Love that song. I like For All the Cows. I don't know.
I always hated that song.
Yeah, I know you hate that song, but I like it. We got I'll Stick Around, Alone, Easy Target is also a good one. Yeah, I don't know.
I always liked Watershed, crazy like punk song.
Yeah.
And Exhausted, really like sad song with a really cool ending.
Yeah.
And it's really good live. The Brixton 1995 performance where they play the entire first record, amazing performance. If you haven't seen that, you got to see it. It's so heavy, so crazy. It's hard to believe that 1995 Foo Fighters are the same band as them now because they were like a brutal band back then.
Yeah.
Now they're a lot more, not really radio friendly necessarily, but for the people.
Yeah.
Not for the angry grunge kids.
Yeah, I'm actually, well, I guess I'm not so much surprised, but I guess pleasantly surprised that there's so many older generation people that really are into the Foo Fighters. I mean, obviously Dave's not young. I mean, I think he's almost 50, and obviously a lot of the band members aren't that young. But, the type of music that they play, I thought their audience would be a lot of younger people, but I mean, seeing the people showing up to the concert and just talking to people, a lot of people that like them. I mean, you have a older demographic that's really into the Foo Fighters.
Well, 20 years ago, they would have been in their 20s, so they've just stayed fans all those years.
Yeah.
And also probably people who were Nirvana fans in the early 90s moved into the Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
But also there was young people there. I mean, they're a band that appeals to a wide range.
Yeah.
A lot of people our age like them, and then my dad likes them,
Yeah. Is that all we have to say about that album?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next up, obviously, is The Color and the Shape, which is probably, I want to say, their first album that had a lot of big hits. And
this is the album that really launched them into a...
Yeah, like it shoved them into the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you got Monkey Wrench on here. Even more, obviously, you got Everlong, because that's just a huge song. And My Hero.
Everlong is actually a lesser hit than My Hero.
Really?
Everlong is still seen as like the antithesis of the band.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, yeah, so you also got My Hero, which is, I guess, their biggest hit of this era. And in between, and what's interesting about those 3 tracks is that Monkey Wrench is at the beginning of the album, My Hero's in the middle, and Everlong's at the end. And in between all those big hits, you got really great songs, which I think makes this album really good because you just got hit, big chunk of good songs, hit, big chunk of good songs, hit. It like divides the album up really well.
You got some of my favorite songs are Enough Space, which is a song they originally wrote to play live because the beat of the song is on par with how people would jump in the audience.
Oh.
So they wrote the song to get people to jump to.
Right.
Screamy, crazy song.
Hey Johnny Park, I'm a fan of that one.
Yeah, that's a great one. What's that other one? I can't remember. There's another one I really like.
Walking After You.
I gotta pull up the
New Way Home
thing here.
Doll, Up in Arms. Well, I guess you mentioned Up in Arms. See You, February Stars.
Pulling up Foo Fighters here. Oh, My Poor Brain.
Yeah.
Love that one. Just a great classic rock style record.
Yeah.
And then also there's a song, a bonus track called The Color and the Shape.
Yeah.
It's their most heavy song.
Yeah.
No one knows about it because I think they took it off the record because they thought it sounded too much like Weenie Beanie.
Yeah.
But you got to listen to it. Most people don't know about it. It's nuts.
Great song.
Also, a great live period for the band. They were just
Killing
on
it.
fire.
Yeah.
Not that they haven't always been great live, but like those 98 shows are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go out. Let's just keep moving here. Let's go into the Nothing Left to Lose. There's
Yeah.
Nothing Left to Lose, 1999.
1999, very, I think for a lot of bands, 1999 is like a transitional period, or like the 2000s era. Like if you just look at, just because there was such a shift in musical, I guess, influences and things that were popular, like you had like new metal and you had like
Pop punk.
grunge was kind of morphing into something else, pop punk, like all these new genres were popping up in the 2000s. And so a lot of bands were like trying to figure out how they fit into that. And there's a lot of bands that like had their worst records in like the 2000 era. Like a lot of bands had like some of their best records.
I mean, this is a period where basically every band that was out of the early 90s either died or got confused.
Yeah.
Soundgarden had broken up. Alice in Chains wasn't functioning. Nirvana obviously gone. Pearl Jam was very confused.
Yeah.
Green Day,
Had Warning.
their biggest flop.
Yeah. Which I like.
But a lot of the new bands are moving in, a lot worse bands. You had, bands like Creed and all that, like post grunge, like people who are influenced by grunge who turned it into radio pop.
Yeah, exactly.
And then obviously new metal and pop punk, as we said. So very weird era for music transition.
So then I guess the question is, how does this album fit into that? And you could say that it was a success, as it did win a Grammy for Best
their
Rock
first
Album.
Grammy-winning album.
Yeah, first Best Rock Album.
And the cool thing is that this album was recorded in Dave's basement.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool that a Grammy-winning record was recorded in a basement.
Yeah.
And,
I'm literally reading a quote right now that Dave Grohl said in 2012. When we won for Best Rock Album, which we made in my basement, I was so proud.
Yeah. They took a bit more of a softer approach on this record. It didn't have anywhere near as many heavy songs as the first two records did. You had, really nothing that heavy. You had Stacked Actors, which is a quite heavy song, and then a little bit Breakout. But other than that, it was a very chilled out record, very wide production. It was their calm down album.
Yeah.
You had songs like Learn to Fly, which I don't like. And I said this to Jacob when Learn to Fly was playing at the show, that Dave said somewhere he doesn't even like Learn to Fly.
Yeah.
But it was the hit. They had to put it on. They knew it was going to be a
Exactly.
hit. It's just a very basic song. That was the only hit off the album, but it was a big hit, massive song. Everyone knows Learn to Fly. As I said, I think it was one of the first Foo Fighters songs I ever heard. It's an okay song. I don't hate it, but I don't listen to it. Breakout, really fun song. They played that at our show. Then you've got a lot of really cool chilled out songs like Ain't It the Life, Next Year, Aurora, my favorite song off the album.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's almost like I've got a bit of a shoegazy, dreamy vibe, that one. And it's just it's definitely the first evolution of the Foo Fighters, going into a new direction. They didn't stay with this direction, but they did something new, and I love it. It's great. Another great album. They don't have it's crazy how many good albums they have.
And I'm not exactly sure how it stacks up against the previous two albums, but I think a lot of the songs on this album are really long, and it makes the minute total of this album longer than previous albums, I'm guessing. Just because there isn't very many like 1-2 minute tracks on this thing. They're all like 3, 4, 5 minute long.
I did not notice that.
I mean, the first song, Stacked Actors, is 4 minutes. You even have a 5 minute, almost 6 minute song, Aurora. And then everything on here is 4 minutes. The shortest song is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So it's only 11 songs, but the total ends up being almost 50 minutes, which is pretty long for a 11 track album. So a
Yeah.
lot of content on here is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Great album. I have so many memories attached to this record. It feels like a rainy day album. Like Aurora, I have memories of like driving in the rain with that
Yeah.
song playing. I love it. Love it. Love it. I like it. I hate it. I like it. Okay.
And up next is one by one. It was, nothing's gonna change. One by one.
It's not the lyric at all.
I know.
So this is One by One. This is the period that the Foo Fighters almost broke up. They got into a big argument about this record. They recorded the entire album for millions of dollars in a studio. It sounded horrible. They scrapped the entire record.
Yeah.
Re-recorded it somewhere else. Anyway, the Foo Fighters almost broke up. Lots of arguing going on. This is when Dave was playing with Queens of the Stone Age, which actually upset the entire band. That Dave was playing with another band.
Yeah. Hard to say it wasn't a success, though, as it again won a Grammy for Best Rock Album. So 2 years in a row, or not 2 years in a row, but you got 2000 or 1999 and 2004, both Best Rock Album of the Year won by the Foo Fighters.
This record, Dave has also said that he thinks this is the worst Foo Fighters record and has been quoted saying there are only 4 good songs on it.
Which is so strange because I love this record.
I mean, I do have complaints. The production on it is by far the worst of any Foo Fighters record, other than maybe Echo Silence, Passion and Grace. And it is a bit. It doesn't have the variation that the first or that the second and third album had. Yeah. It's very straightforward rock again.
However, I think is it heavier? I would say
I mean,
it's heavy.
I think they said in the documentary that they wanted to go heavy after the last record, which is very
chilled out
as we said. So they wanted to go hardcore. And they did with songs like All My Life. Mm-hmm. Amazing live song.
Such a good song.
Low.
Yeah.
Brutal song. You know, it's a really heavy record, once again. And spawned the hits All My Life and Times Like These, which they played live at our show.
Yeah, I mean...
That's not how it goes. Have you heard these songs?
Yes.
Times like these.
I just am tone deaf. I'm just singing the part at like kind of when it descends into the verse when he goes, in times like these in a burning... You know what I'm talking about. I'm not good at singing, obviously.
Okay.
Again, super long songs. Nothing under 3 minutes on this album. It's all 4, 5, and 7. Which kind of goes back to my earlier point, which is that I think the reason why Foo Fighters has such long, meaty songs is because they all are just so talented that they don't want to stop playing. Like, they have so many ideas for these songs that when they end up getting all their ideas together, the songs end up being really long and have a lot of content in them.
That is true. That is very true.
So Connor's just going to send a text real quick in the middle of our podcast.
So you have a favorite song off this record?
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's hard to say All My Life isn't my favorite song just because it's such a good song, but I'd say not picking a really generic response, I'd probably say like Overdrive is my favorite song.
Good choice. I'd either go with Low or Tired of You.
Yeah.
Very weird song. But I like it.
Yeah, not much more to say about that album. I think it had its flaws, but all in all, another solid album by the Foo Fighters. I mean, at this point, you know, if we're going back to 2004, I think at this point, 2003, sorry. I think at this point, if you were looking at the Foo Fighters, you'd be thinking, wow, they have 4 albums in a row that are all pretty good. Mm-hmm. Some of them incredible. Like They Can Do No Wrong. Like if you're thinking of them back then. But then you get In Your Honor.
Yeah, so I think the mentality was that they wanted to try something different. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they did a double record, In Your Honor. First half of the album, disc 1, is all the heavy rock stuff. Yeah. And then the second disc is the acoustic stuff. So, yeah, and then they actually did 2 tours. They did 1 tour playing the heavy side, and they did a full acoustic tour.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this record, In Your Honor?
It's not my favorite. It's okay. I think I definitely like the first half more than the second half, just because I'm more attracted to Foo Fighters when they're doing their heavier stuff. Like I definitely like their acoustic stuff, but I was just more interested in the first half. But I don't know. I feel like not necessarily quality. Like they at this point in their career, they all knew their way around making quality music. Like it sounds good. I just think they dropped off in this album a bit in just like creativity, or maybe sticking with a sound that
I feel like they
liked.
phoned in this album on the rock side. To disagree with you, I love the acoustic side. The rock side is just little rock. There's a 12 little rock songs with, there's nothing creative.
Yeah.
The song "In Your Honor" is a really cool opener. "No Way Back" is a really boring radio friendly song. I don't hate it, but it's not that good. And then you have "Best of You," which I don't even like that much either. Everyone loves it. Great live song, but bores me. And I honestly can't remember any other song off the rock side other than "Resolve."
Yeah.
Snooze fest. Just a boring, very basic rock record.
Well, like I
Nothing
said,
creative.
I felt like they were lacking creativity in this.
I mean,
this album.
it's not bad,
Yeah.
but it's boring, especially after this being their 5th record now. It's gonna get tiring.
Yeah, well, like that's even really close to what I said. I was saying that it's not bad because they know how to make quality music. Like it sounds good. It's just for them, it was disappointing because it just lacked that creativity.
Yeah, but I do like the acoustic side. Have you listened to it?
Not as much as I should. I mean, I feel like because this album is double sided, like two track lists on here. It's kind of one of those albums that when you're scrolling past it in your phone, you're like, it just feels like a chore to like have to listen to all those songs. So I never I always end up listening to the first half, and then when I get to the second half, I like bow out around song 4 because I have to like go do something. Like if I'm on the train and it's like an hour-long train ride.
I started at the acoustic side.
I know. I shit. I really should, but I always end up. I'm always like, oh, I'll get to the acoustic side, and I start at the heavy side, and then it gets to like song 4 of the mellow side, and I have to go do something. But,
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I think it's really cool. It was something new. They'd never really done many acoustic songs before. Dave re-recorded the song "Friend of a Friend," which he demoed during the Nirvana period on his little demo tape he put out called Pocket Watch. And yeah, I love it. Songs like "Razor," really cool guitar work. "Over and Out," I don't know, just like feels like a jungle song. Still very sad. "What If I Do?" I think it's really cool. It's
yeah.
I enjoy it. Do you have a favorite song or?
Yeah, I mean, actually, no. I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't think I really have a favorite song off this record.
My favorite song on the heavy side is "In Your Honor."
Yeah.
Even though it's an intro track, it's really brutal, heavy. Love it.
Yeah.
And then my favorite acoustic song. I don't know. Next album. Now we're gonna go into Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Gravestones.
And Grake.
Yeah. So right off the bat, Taylor Hawkins talked very poorly about this album.
Yeah.
In an interview. He said it was overproduced. He said they didn't like the way the producer worked, is what he said about this album. And pretty forgettable album.
I can't help but agree with them there. It did sound a little too clean for what the Foo Fighters is used to.
Yeah. So Dave said that they wanted to take the acoustic side and the rock side of the previous album and mesh them. He said that in the documentary. So this album does have a lot of acoustic elements in the rock songs.
Yeah.
But I think the same issue is it's still pretty vanilla rock.
Yeah.
More creative than "In Your Honor." But same problem. And bad production. Too clean. Does have some decent tracks though.
Yeah.
"Let It Die."
Yeah.
Cool song. Everyone thinks it's about Kurt Cobain. It's not.
Yeah.
Not every song he writes is about Nirvana.
I feel like there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Dave sneaking things about Kurt or Nirvana into his songs. But
I do know the songs he did write about Nirvana. There's a song off Sonic Highways. Can't remember the title. Is about Seattle. I'll Stick Around off the first record is about Courtney.
Oh.
I don't know if he wrote a song about Kurt. I don't think he has. Not like he needs to. Long Road to Ruin. Fun song. Cool solo.
Yeah, I was going to say I like the song Stranger Things Have Happened.
Can't even remember how it goes. I'm going to download it right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, kind of forgettable in the sense that there isn't a whole lot of songs off here that I can like recollect. Just because it's just one of those songs that you like one of those albums that you can just play in the background, and there isn't a whole lot that jumps out at you.
I have a lot of albums like that are good to play in the background.
Yeah.
But if I'm listening to music straight up, you know, it's just I'll get bored of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like on that point, there's albums that I still find enjoyable, even if they're albums that are meant to be played just in the background for me. But when there's certain times that I am sitting down to listen to music, like that's why I'm there. Like I'm not watching a video, I'm not writing something while I listen to music. I'm just sitting down to listen to music and just chill. There are certain albums that I'm not going to play.
Exactly.
Because I want it to be consistent. I know I'm going to enjoy every point of the album. Like there's going to be a stretch of songs where it feels like it's like strenuous to sit through.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right, let's move up to the next record. Wasting Light.
Wasting Light.
Now this is a chocolate album, let me tell you. This is a good record.
This is a freaking gold in a handbasket.
So the Foo Fighters reacted to... Just shut up, okay? Seriously, it's annoying the heck out of me. So they reacted to the production off of Echo, Slants, Patience, and Grace. I can't
Slants,
say it.
Placents, and Plaques.
And they wanted to make an album on tape, record in Dave's garage again. They're not in garage. You know what I'm saying? Produced it with Butch Vig, who produced Nirvana's Nevermind, as well as records like Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins, 21st Century Breakdown by Green Day.
Yeah.
Amazing producer.
Yeah.
And this is their best sounding record sonically by far, in my opinion. The production is so good.
So good.
Mainly because it's done on tape.
Yeah. There's something about tape, like recording, that it just has this like... I always like to compare it to canvas, like paint canvas. And what I mean by that is like there's certain grains of paper that you would make a painting on that when you paint on them, they just add like a texture to the painting.
Exactly.
Like painting on just flat canvas, it's just like it just looks really smooth and boring. But when you get like a good grainy paper or grainy canvas, it just adds like this whole other element. That's like tape to me. Like recording just digitally, like sure it sounds great, but on tape it just adds like a grain, you know? It just adds like this a whole other texture and dimension to the music.
It sounds so much more pure and like it sounds like a band playing. Stuff recorded on a computer, it has a compressed feel. It sounds computery. I can't exactly explain why. Yeah. And also because they can fix every little error, it loses the personality that you would get on tape. Yeah. So there's screw ups on this record that they leave in because it's just natural. Yeah. And it made a tremendous record. Even though this once again is another record of straightforward rock again. Yeah. They're just really great rock songs. Yeah. They're not kind of vanilla and basic like the last two albums. They're just really quality songs. This is like almost like up to Nevermind quality songwriting, I'd say. Yeah. And I don't think you can, be disappointed or say anything about the Foo Fighters for sticking to that just classic rock like profile, because that's what they're proven to be good at. And even if it is something not super original, it still sounds amazing and it's incredibly enjoyable to listen to. So I don't think it's a fault of theirs that they aren't necessarily innovating in every single album that they put out. Yeah. I'm getting a bit too much into that. Have you been paying attention to the audio levels? Yes, I have been paying attention to the audio levels, and they seem good. Good. Actually, wait, talk. Yours are considerably quieter than mine. That's fine. I will boost them in post.
Okay, just because the blips on your
That's expected.
sonograph
That's
thing aren't very like.
That's fine, as long as it's not anything crazy.
Yes.
Anyway, we're a very technical podcast. We want to make sure that our audio is wonderful for our listeners.
Yes, we hope that it sounds like ear sex to you.
Yeah. I just put a plastic plant in the mic for our audio listeners.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Wasting Light, Bridge Burning, Rope, Dear Rosemary,
Back
White
and
Limo,
Forth.
Arlandria, These Days, Back and Forth. All good songs.
So good.
Straight the whole record. I like every song on this album except for Miss the Misery and A Matter of Time. Those songs, I don't even remember how they go. I should have known there's a song that might have a Nirvana. A little bit about Kurt. Dave said the song was about the times in his life where he goes, oh, I should have known that was going to happen.
And which song was that?
The song I Should Have Known.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, just to finish that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a beautiful album, as I said. Sounds excellent. I want every album that ever is recorded to have this type of production.
Yeah.
Spawned the hit Walk.
Unfortunately, I think that when this album was released, it was the era of guitar music and rock in general was on a decline, just like the whole genre.
Yep.
And it wasn't getting as much attention. And that's really obvious now. Like, rock music is really hard to market appropriately nowadays.
Didn't it win a Grammy, though?
No, I don't believe so. Unless I'm mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it won.
They must have won the Grammys for.
Yeah, no, it didn't win anything. So that being said, it's unfortunate that this album didn't get as much publicity. I mean, obviously, anything that the Foo Fighters puts out, will sell a lot, but it didn't sell as much as their previous albums, and that's a shame because it's such an amazing record.
Yeah, the lower sales have nothing to do with the album not being as good. It's just to do with
exactly.
The only people buying the album are the smaller group of rock fans that are around right now and back then. But in the Foo Fighter community, this is seen as one of their best albums. A lot of people would say it's their best album. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say it's my third favorite of theirs.
Yeah. And that being, like, to add on to that, that isn't for no fault of Wasting Light itself. Like, it being third is no fault of its own. It's just that there are previous albums that are maybe more nostalgic, but also they might not be as good as Wasting Light, like, structurally, but they just have a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can go into that.
Yeah.
So let's move up to Sonic Highways now. This album. So when this album came out, I was a Foo Fighters fan, so I remember this whole period. I think I got into them around 2013. So Sonic Highways was recorded with a television show. Yeah. Each song is about a different city, and the lyrics of the songs are taken from interviews Dave did with different musicians from each city. So, for example, the song Subterranean was the Seattle song, and that song is about Seattle's music, and the lyrics are from interviews Dave did with Seattle musicians. Yeah. And so that's the whole record. But because of that, it faulted the record. Yeah. Each song was recorded over a week. The lyrics were done like basically on the spot. It's
hodgepodge.
It became a big mess. Yeah. The songs, and each song was done in a different studio too. So each song sounds a little different from each one. So it's not as cohesive as the last record, for example, which was done so well. Mm-hmm. So there are some good songs on here, but it is a bit of a mess. Yeah, I just kind of felt like this album was a shot in the dark. It wasn't really like they were trying to aim at something, but it wasn't really clear what they were aiming for, and so the dart ended up just falling on the ground way away from the dartboard. It's quite experimental in terms of songwriting. It's still a rock record, but the songs do have a lot of new elements. They're a lot longer, a bit more artsy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of them had guest spots on it. Like Something from Nothing had the guy from Cheap Trick play a guitar solo. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So Something from Nothing is a pretty good song. I remember them playing that one live. Stood out for me when we went to the show for some reason.
I mean, I think it stands out just because it has that intro, like it's a very, very, um, I want to say just it kind of grabs you in because it's very solemn,
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of
And
depressing,
it builds.
and then it just
The whole
builds.
song is a build up.
Yeah, the whole song, and so it can kind of lift you up. So I like that song a lot.
Mm-hmm. I like the song Outside. It's got the cool bass part, and the clear is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I don't really listen to it ever. I was kind of disappointed when it came out. It sucks that I became a Foo Fighter fan right before this album was released because it's
Yeah.
definitely their worst album.
Yeah,
So it sucks to get into a band and then they put out an album and it's bad.
yeah.
TV show is pretty good though. So
What are you gonna do?
I give it a 55%.
I almost feel like it was a sacrificial lamb because like every band needs to have a bad album.
I know. Well, Foo Fighters had so many. They never put out a truly bad record.
Yeah.
Their entire career.
Yeah.
So it was about time. that
It was
they put out.
about time.
And Dave has acknowledged that this album is bad on stage.
Really.
He said like, what were we thinking or something, referring to the album. So they know it's a piece of
Yeah.
booty.
And that ends up bleeding into Concrete and Gold,
The latest album.
the latest album. Yep. And compared to Sonic Highways, what a pleasant surprise. Or not really a surprise. I mean, nothing surprising about the Foo Fighters. We know they can make really good stuff. I guess it was just refreshing because we almost forgot for a second. Because a lot of people like to say you're only as good as your last performance or your last whatever genre you're talking about. And music, you're definitely only as good as your last album because people have very short memories. They can only remember what you just put out. So when this album came out,
Or they remember what you put out 15 years ago and
Yeah.
ignore everything you've done recently because it's
Yeah.
so unmemorable.
exactly.
But so this album, they kind of described it as their Sgt. Pepper, their like big space rock epic album,
Yeah.
and it certainly was. It's got experimentation, it's got all different styles, but it all fits within a cohesive vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it was produced by, I forgot his name, Greg Kurstin, who is a pop producer.
Oh yeah.
But they wanted to go with a pop producer, not because they wanted to make a poppy album, but because they thought the challenge of making a rock record with a pop producer would be fun.
Oh
And also Dave was a big fan of the producer's band.
yeah. We've now hit these plants in these metal tins twice.
Yeah. If you're listening to this on audio, you're not going to have a clue what we're talking about.
Yeah. But man, there's a lot of good tracks off this, like Run, Make It Right. A lot of people don't like Sky as a Neighborhood, but I think it's a good song. Dirty Water, Sunday Rain, The Line, all these songs.
Yeah, I like almost every song.
Yeah.
T-shirt, really cool opening.
Yeah.
Leads into Run, which is my top 5 Foo Fighters songs.
Yeah, such a good song.
Brutal song.
And amazing live.
Oh.
It is like, if there was a list of songs to open shows with, that would be on there. Like top 10. Like the build and that like crashing just intro into this, like it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
It was an amazing moment in my life when they started playing the opening of that at our show.
Yeah, man.
So that song did pretty good in the charts for rock standards. Obviously not a huge hit, but as big as a hit can be in the rock world nowadays. Sky as a Neighborhood, really big song as well. La Di Da, another violent song.
Yeah.
Like seeing that live, and Dave doesn't even really try to enunciate. He basically just screams.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy to
amazing.
see. And I don't know how his voice hasn't shriveled up into a bag of sand.
Well, it's probably because he's been doing it so long that he just has trained his vocal cords to be resilient as a rock.
Well, you think that would mean his vocal cords have been destroyed?
Or they're really strong.
No. Singers' voices get worse the longer they're around.
Well, I don't know. It's like an old piece of oak wood. It gets stronger as it ages.
Shut up before I slap you.
I'm gonna fucking reach across the table and choke you to death. Okay. We might have to remove that.
We don't remove anything from this show.
No, we're definitely gonna remove that.
We're not.
Okay, remember the timestamp of
I'm leaving it in.
Wait, where's the time? This only says bars.
I'm leaving it in.
No, you're not. Take
Why?
that out
What did
because
you
then
even
people are gonna
say?
think I'm a murderer. Okay, now you really have to take it out because I'm trying to like people are gonna see me trying to like want it out so bad.
I'm leaving it. Yeah. Sunday Rain, Taylor Hawkins on vocals, Paul McCartney on the drums. Did you know that?
Huh?
Paul McCartney played drums on Sunday Rain.
Oh, it wasn't Ringo Starr.
No, man, it wasn't Ringo.
It wasn't Ringo. Yes.
The Line. Keep hearing that one on the radio. Anyway.
I'm just gonna go through all the guest musicians on this album. Justin Timberlake on "Make It Right." We got Sean Stockman on "Concrete and Gold." We got Inara George, "Dirty Water." Paul McCartney, "Sunday Rain." I'm gonna skip some because I don't know who any of these fucking people are. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip all the rest because I don't know who any of these people are. But yeah, Justin Timberlake on "Make It Right." I don't even know that one. Dang.
Yeah, he was like the choir vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that album is excellent. My favorite song is Run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we just ran through their entire discography.
Yeah, we are running a little long here, folks. So I think we're gonna say goodbye.
Yeah, how long have we been doing this for now?
GarageBand doesn't have a timer, so I don't know.
Okay, well, anyway.
All I know is we've been doing
we don't
it
want to
for
bore you to death.
1,384.5 bars.
Yeah,
So-
long episode. A lot of records go through.
Yep.
Um,
Check out our album reviews. Check out our top 10s. Subscribe to the channel if you like this podcast. We're going to be posting a lot more. And leave a comment to add to the discussion on what you think about the Foo Fighters and some of their albums.
yeah, and if you want to hear us talk deeper about any album or anything else, let us know.